I'm Simon Brown. I'm the designer and builder of the Wand Tonearm and Turntable. This video is about some of the more advanced or detailed setup aspects of the Wand Tonearm, particularly the new Wand Series B Tonearm. A lot of it centres around this new plastic protractor, which is a development of the one we've been making for 10 years out of metal, but it does a bit more and a bit nicer, as well as being slightly less frightening than metal. Although you still have to be careful, you could still kill a cartridge with this, so user beware really. This protractor is very much designed around an average cartridge, so that's why the initial video doesn't have much about this, because it'll work for probably 90% of cartridges, but if you have some sort of oddball, it's a way of checking that that's fine. Okay, so one of the first things showing you how to do the vertical tracking angle, set the height. So this protractor has markings for level, where the step is, down 2 degrees, up 2 degrees. So what we do is we park this on the platter, and it already takes account to the fact of record thickness. We park that over there. We can see that it's just above level, which is probably a good place to start. If you go up 2 degrees, that's Michael Freeman makes a good argument for why that's a good place to be. So using this universal hex spanner, we just loosen that off there, and that lets you raise or lower the whole assembly. The other thing though, when you loosen that off, you have to be a bit aware that lets you alter where the arm parks, and on these two screws here let you adjust the parking height and angle. I suggest not doing that initially anyway, because we set them in slightly fiddly. Tighten that back up when you've got to the place you want to be. These holes here, arm pivot, LP spindle, where you park the arm for a start, and you can even use that drill through if you've got a virgin arm board or something. We'll now look at how to do fine setup of overhang. So here, this system is numbered 1, put that on the platter spindle, 2, put the stylus here, and 3, align the arm between these two parallel lines. So we'll do that now. So putting that on the platter spindle, it's important to loosen these two screws off, because what we're going to do is we're going to wind that there, which makes the whole thing slide in and out. So let's put the arm on and see how it looks. Yeah, do leave your stylus guard on initially. So you can do this initially anyway with the stylus guard on, and that's obviously potentially safer. So what we're trying to do is we're going to try to get the stylus tip parked on the crosshairs there, and this arm is slightly, the protractor, there's one line there, and the other line is there, so it's slightly clockwise. So to fix that, what we need to do is we need to wind the screw at the back, lifting it off, anti-clockwise, and then checking again, and I've now gone slightly too far, so it's now anti-clockwise, so I need to just come back a few turns, and then we put that on, and that's pretty good. At this stage you'd probably take the stylus guard off, and so you can see a bit better, but that's the technique of getting there. And then the important thing is to tighten those screws up again, and you can see I am doing this while the arm's there. Oh, don't adjust that one. Yeah, don't adjust that when these are clamped, because you can unscrew it in a way that you don't want to. I mentioned earlier that these lines help you see whether the arm, you can either use these on the end, or you can use these to check parallel, so you can see underneath and see yes, it's parallel. There's also a helpful check at the front here, because obviously the cartridge height affects how things are. That's a sort of average, that's shorter than average, and that's higher. And so you can make the VTA, the starting height, different to accommodate that. Okay, so the next part of this video is about azimuth adjustment. Azimuth adjustment is how straight the stylus sits in the groove. And actually, after trying quite a lot of cartridges over making hundreds of arms, I'd say mostly it's not something most people will be bothered doing, but it's here if you need to. And it was one of the important design aspects of the arm, was that you could adjust it without affecting anything else. So to adjust azimuth, you can look at the front of the cartridge and try and see how straight it is, but that's hard depending on the design of the cartridge. A more reliable method is to use either something like a Fosgo meter or an oscilloscope, and that's more reliable because the actual tolerance of how your minute stylus is glued onto the cantilever and how the cantilever is assembled is really tricky, and it's, there's probably really good 10 degrees tolerance there. So that's why measuring it's probably really a better way. There's enough online about using those methods. The way you adjust the azimuth for the Wand Tonearm is to use the universal tool, loosen that off, and just tilt that over, and then redo your measurement or whatever method. We've slightly adjusted the weights to compensate for the fact that usually there's more weight on the outside of the arm, so it's most likely fine vertical, but tilting it over, or tilting the round plates over, it's most likely to have to go to that side if it has to be adjusted at all. So the next part of the advanced setup is about doing anti-skate. Now, anti-skate is, because of the geometry of pivoted tone arms, it's about there's a theoretical force pulling the arm inwards. So on paper you want to apply a force outwards. Now, it's not quite as simple as much on the internet is said about it, because it all depends on what your stylus profile is, how worn it is, the record you're playing, whereabouts on the record you're playing, how clean the record is. So at the end of the day, probably the best you can say is to, well, some force is probably a good idea, but it's probably not that exact. And I'd have to say 70–80% of my customers don't bother. I probably don't bother, but I'm probably too busy changing arms and so on. So the anti-skate on the wand is very conventional. It's just a dangling weight that someone of my age struggles to make up. So there's a little loop on the end of the wire there, and you're just sliding that onto there. It all depends on the cartridge and tracking force and so on, but this is probably, at this end is probably more like 2 grams, in the middle it's more like 1. You can test Antiskate with a blank record. It's not ideal because it's not the right friction. Gives you an idea. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's up to your ears to decide.